thank you for being on our show.
Oh, no problem. I'm excited.
We're very excited to talk to you. So I'll introduce you. So this is Christopher David Roche. Him and I met at Albright College in Reading, Pennsylvania.
Don't tell him how long ago, God.
I'm going to leave that part out. I'll leave that. So you have a BA from Albright in theater.
Yes, and also history.
And history. Okay. So not only have you acted on stage, but you've acted in TV, film, and on the web.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. So, but on stage, you've portrayed like numerous amounts of roles, such as Sir Sagramore in Camelot. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay. This is the most recent, right? At the Sierra Repertory Theater in California.
Yeah, that's the one that got hurt by the Rona.
Yeah, like tell us about that. Like what happened? You guys were doing the run, and then all of a sudden, you gotta go home.
Yeah. Well, they were actually probably the best. And I mean, I also have no problem if, like, during the interview you want me to plug them, because
totally.
they were they like beyond stand up about it. They made sure that every actor that was in the run, all of our wages were covered, even though they canceled the show 5 weeks early.
Wow.
They covered all of our wages throughout the rest of the run. And then they also covered the next show that came in. It was a week into rehearsal, and they covered 2 more weeks beyond that for them. So everyone had at least 2 paychecks and a month's worth of salary coming in as they transitioned into all this with losing work and all that.
Wow, that's crazy. Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, they're a regional theater in the middle of the foothills of California. So it's not like they had tons and tons and tons of money, but like they were committed to making sure that the actors weren't, just cut loose.
Yeah, they treated you guys right. That was nice.
Yeah.
Good. You were also Jacob Marley in A Christmas Carol at the Shawnee Playhouse.
Oh yeah, that was forever ago. Oh God.
Was that fun?
It was crazy. So with their, I was in, I think it was like 5 shows in rep there. And in A Christmas Carol, I played Marley, but I also played 6 other characters.
And, of course you did.
Yeah. And I went in and they had said, oh yeah, you just need a standard RP accent. And then they wanted 6 different dialects added on, and I had 2.5 weeks to learn 6 dialects.
No way in hell. Oh my God.
And be able to sing with them. And most of them were dialects I had never used before, like ever.
How did you learn?
Baptism by fire and lots of failure. I'm pretty sure they all came out Southern at first. But that was my acting internship back in like 2012, 2015. Something like that. But yeah, that one was a minute ago.
That's too funny. And then you were the understudy for Kemp and the Hermit in Young Frankenstein at the Walnut Street Theatre.
Mm-hmm. I just did that after I moved down to Philly.
That's right. Did you? I can't remember if you told me this or not. Did you ever get the chance to go on?
No, it was actually probably all right that I didn't. I mean, the guy I was understudying is a powerhouse in Philadelphia theater. His name's Fran Prisco, and he never misses a show. I think in like 25 years, he has never missed a performance.
Wow.
He was doing that. He was doing that show on a partially torn ACL and didn't miss a beat with the flu during he just boom, he went out, and he has like one of the most like beautiful, powerful voices you've ever heard a man have.
Oh my God! And he would go out on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, that's insane!
What a trooper!
For real, but like, I mean, I think that shows what the producers, director, casting people saw you and thought he could be an understudy for this guy. That's a lot. I mean, the way that you talk about
a big deal.
Guy, yeah.
Oh shucks. I don't know.
That's cool. Oh my God. Can you tell us what one of your most memorable roles was that you'll like never forget that you love doing? Would do again?
George Zimmerman. I was at the Freedom Theater in 2015-ish, 2016, somewhere there. And it's one of the 5 remaining historically Black theater companies in the country. And there was a show that they were doing called The Ballad of Trayvon Martin. And I went in, and I was working at People's Light at the time, and I had like long, crazy Wolverine hair and mutton chops. I looked like a fat Wolverine. Like I looked like the guy that they went, nah, Hugh's got the body. So walk in with like crazy, like Sense and Sensibility, long hair and mutton chops and all that. And I'm auditioning for the most infamous human, I mean, he's a piece of shit, ever. And I think that was like 4 months. That was like a 4-month long process. It was intense. Like, I think it was like 8 to 10 performances a week, 7 times per performance. I had to kill my friend Amir, who was playing Trayvon. So
Wow.
there was a lot of bourbon involved.
I was gonna ask how you got through that, because like I know doing one role, I was Una in Blackbird, and doing that one role was like so exhausting in every way possible. How did you deal with that?
Knowing that I was in a cast with a predominantly Black cast, and knowing that that's something that they live with daily, hourly, by the minute. So they, being as fantastic as they are, and they didn't have to, became my rocks. They, my friend Angel, who's playing Sabrina, Trayvon's mother, would remind me every day, I know it's not you. It's not you, Chris. I know it's not you. And my buddy Shabazz would constantly, like, him and I sat next to each other in the dressing room and just bounce stuff off of each other and not talk about it. Not just give like the moment before we had kind of got into our mindset to do the show, to talk about anything but what we were about to spend the next 3 hours talking about. Because it was not, it was not one of those shows where we're gonna pussyfoot around it. It was like very much like, boom, here it is.
Your face.
Yeah, it was raw. It was like a sock to the jaw. Every single, and once you thought like you found bottom on that, we went to another floor. Like the show itself started off with Emmett Till's funeral. And for the, I mean, not to like get on my soapbox, but I will, because speak truth to power. Emmett Till, for those that might follow your podcast, I don't know, was a young Black boy who was horrifically murdered by white men off of a lie that a white woman said, that he whistled at her. So we started there, and they destroyed his body so much that you couldn't recognize him, and with the goal that his mother would have to have a closed casket, and she absolutely refused to have a closed casket. She made America look directly at this act. So that's where we started.
Wow. It starts off like so powerful.
That's intense.
Yeah. But I mean, sure. But also like sometimes what did we end up saying? Amir. So Amir, who played Trayvon, was 16 at the time. Him and I have this bond. And the one talk back, we had talkbacks after every performance as well.
That's great. That's really great.
Most folks didn't want to talk to me.
I'm sure.
That means that you did a great performance, though, that you really portrayed that character.
Yeah, but I remember one night, something that Amir and I were like talking about with the audience was the only way to resolve issues is for the people who can see themselves in another person to be spoken so directly to and almost be like the spear. So that's kind of the mindset that I put. I was like, well, I'm the spear point on this for white folks. And if I've got to do this every night and say things that I don't believe and process things that are intrinsically and morally wrong, and that's going to dull me a little bit then so be it, because I'm standing next to 7 other folks in this cast that go through it every day, and for 400 years have just been oppressed and systematically and systemically suppressed.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. I wish I could have seen that.
That's probably the role of all roles that has left the fingerprints all over me, because it was coming off of, I also worked for 5 years in an interactive theater company that went on to college campuses and corporate buildings, dealing with Title IX, Title VI, Title II issues, and forcing parents and students and companies to talk about these things while using theater as almost like a safe space that we can reference this as an arm away. We can talk about the scene and what we just saw the actors improvise and all that, and then let the actors stay in character and then interact with the audience in real time with their questions. So it was that led to that, and then led to understudying at the Arden this past year for a show called 74 Seconds to Judgment, where it dealt with justice issues within juries and how Black folks are perceived and white folks are perceived in the justice system.
Mm.
Wow.
That's interesting. Yeah. You do some deep theater.
I mean,
wow.
Does that shock you though, Gina, with the stuff I was into in college?
Not in the least. Wasn't I? What I was in, you directed Speech and Debate, and I was in that.
Yeah. Speech and Debate, Suburbia. 7 Jewish Children, A Play for Gaza was my senior thesis. I was Albright, you got issues you're gonna deal with today.
Yeah. There was no fluff pieces when it came to you. You were like, we're doing this, we're jumping in, here we go.
Yeah.
How did you really get into theater and get involved with acting?
I was in 2nd grade.
Aw.
Wow.
I remember it was Mrs. Troop's 2nd grade class, and I think it was like all the other ones in elementary school. I don't remember that much. They were doing The Wizard of Oz, and I wanted to be in it. I didn't know why, I just did. And my ma convinced me. I wanted to just be a part of this thing. I didn't care what role it was. But evidently my mom convinced me. She was like, no, you should do the Cowardly Lion. That'd be really funny.
Aww.
So that was my first role ever, actually, was playing the Cowardly Lion.
I love the Cowardly Lion.
Oh my God, I could totally picture you doing that. Even now, today.
Yeah. I've actually played it, I think, is it 2 other times?
Wow.
Yeah. And constantly, it's one of those roles that I love doing when it's I'm not a big TYA actor. I'm more of a USA than a Disney guy.
Okay.
But I love TYA because it's probably to me, it's probably the most impactful theater that you can do. Exposing kids to just even the concept that you can make a career out of this, and it doesn't have to be, no knock to Broadway, please hire me. But it doesn't have to be Broadway or even regional theaters for you to have a career in this. That there's all sorts of different levels and layers to this, and nuances and little niches and all that sort of whatnot for people to build careers out.
That is so true.
I love that.
Growing up, I just thought Broadway, that's it. That's all there is. If you want to act, you got to go there. But going to Albright, learning about all these other places, I'm like, no, there's a whole world out there.
Mm-hmm.
Is acting your full-time job, or do you have another job?
So going to Albright, we had to actually learn 4 different fields of theater for us to even graduate.
Side note, I tell people this all the time in community theater because there's a lot of people in community theater. It's totally fine who are older in age who just got into it. Totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
You do you, and all they want to do is act. And I'm like, I'll sign up to sandpaper the floor. I don't care. Like because that was ingrained in us. Like every little part counts.
Yeah.
You have to get in somewhere.
Maybe like a year ago. Yeah, it was my 30th birthday present to myself. I quit all my side jobs and I said I'm doing acting full time. And
that's ballsy.
Yeah, and then Corona happened, and here we are. I'm not sad. There's not vodka in my cup.
It's all right. We have wine on the shelf.
But so it had been building up to that point, actually. When I graduated, when we graduated, Gina, I ended up getting an apprenticeship with the theater in a state that was not honest with what the apprenticeship would be. So, I've got no problem lighting them on fire. No one worked for Downstairs Cabaret Theater in Rochester, New York.
Good to know.
So I went up there with all these hopes and dreams for a year of like intense work as an actor, understudying X, Y, and Z, doing what we had done at Albright, like because the 4 fields that I focused on at school was acting primarily, followed by directing, followed by stage management, and then design. And in particular with design, it was more like set design. And that did not happen. I fell flat on my face, learning experience. And then I quit 2 jobs in my life. And if I could have quit this one 3 more times, I would have.
Wow.
I quit it. I called my ma. Back when it was, I think we still had like the little slide phones, like if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it was like I was like, Ma, she's in Reading, Pennsylvania, and I'm in Rochester, New York. I was like, I can't take this. It'd been like 2 months of dealing with like everything that you could imagine, like the worst thing you could imagine, and then some. And I promise that I'll tell you something. Like if you give me your worst imagination, I'll have something even worse that actually happened.
Oh my God.
So that morning, I sent a text to the artistic director.
I love the air quotes.
And said I quit, and that I was leaving, and my keys will be on the dining room table, and I'll be gone by this evening.
Wow.
Yeah, my mom rented a car, came up, I packed up all my stuff, threw it in, and I left.
Oh my God.
With my tail between my legs, embarrassed, not knowing what the hell I was going to do. And actually, Wayne Vedelson got a hold of me.
Oh, good. Oh, Wayne.
And he was like, listen, I need an assistant set designer for this show at Albright. Do you want to be my assistant? I was like, cool, I'm in. It was Baby with the Bathwater. So it was a Durang piece on top of it. So I was like, yeah.
Your favorite. One of your favorites.
So I came back. Albright was great in catching me and hiring me and doing that. And then I booked a stage management job at the Effort of Performing Arts Center in Lancaster. And I was doing those 2 things. And then that I booked a production internship with Simpatico Theater in Philadelphia, which then led to an acting internship with them, which then led to, X, Y, and Z happening, working as a stage manager and an assistant carpenter and all these sort of things, and acting here and there. And then that led to coming back to Reading, actually, and taking care of some family stuff and helping out my family with X, Y, and Z that was going on, which led to me getting into improvisational theater with a company there, which I'm not good at. Like, not even a little bit.
It's hard stuff.
Oh yeah, if there's a low-hanging fruit, I'm going to grab it, eat it, and then spit it out and give it to you. And that's probably the worst thing to do, but yeah, fart jokes and poop jokes are funny. Which then led to me doing a show with them, an original show that they were doing. And then I went away for like another year. I left Reading for a year. And then about a year later, I get a call from them asking if I would interview for their managing director position that they were creating. So I did. And then the next thing I knew, I spent 4.5 years working as the managing director and the production manager for the Reading Theatre project, taking a small ensemble and building up to annual main stage production, a fringe festival, library tours and adaptations, play reading festivals, and all this sort of whatnot right in Reading. Yeah.
You kept busy.
I think it's important for actors to work the other side, and vice versa. I think building an ensemble should always be the goal. An ensemble driven towards what the audience needs and wants more than anything. So it just kind of kept snowballing from there. And then next thing I know, I was like 30 and I had an existential crisis, and I was like, I've got to like stop working side jobs and all that and
focus on acting.
Yeah.
That's cool. Do you like the audition process?
I've got mixed feelings about it. I think, so having been on the casting side, I understand why the process is the way it is sometimes. Overall, I think it is pretty flawed. And I think because it works well enough, most folks aren't willing to reinvent the wheel, to find a more effective way. I think the casting process is designed to benefit white cis folks primarily, because that's how the wheel turns, right? And the wheel's broken, so we need to throw away the wheel and get a new wheel. My personal favorite audition process is actually what Harlan Rep used to do, where everyone's in the room together and you make a choice and the next person can't take your choice, and it's just collaborative and together.
Oh, that sounds amazing. That's
yeah,
so different.
Yeah, it's bloody brilliant. It was the process actually that I've experienced that process at Touchstone Theatre in Bethlehem. Reading Theatre Project, we adopted that when I was working there. And New Freedom, when I was auditioning for Ballad of Trayvon Martin, it was exactly like that process. And it was that audition that turned me onto it. I was like, this is great, because actors and casting teams then get a half hour, 40 minutes to know each other. Because in 3 minutes, all you can judge is whether or not the person has the physical tools that you need, or they can make a choice. And hopefully they did exactly what you wanted them to do. But auditioning is not acting.
No.
There's no collaboration with it. It's very clinical.
It is. You're right.
And
you are right.
It just sucks.
Tell us how you really feel. Well, so, did you ever have like a really bad audition? And how did you get through it? Do you want to tell us about it?
I had a really bad audition for Walnut Street maybe like 2 months ago. I got lucky that they, that I undersay for them, and their casting director has been bringing me in for a bunch of stuff. But I am not a dancer. Not even like you might be able to get a time step out of me, and that's about it. But other than that, it's going to be a lot of. But they were insistent on bringing me in for their TYA auditions, which were all dance-heavy shows. And I'm talking to their education director and their casting director. I'm like, y'all, what? Like, I was like, so they got my large butt dancing. It was so terrible. It was so bad. It was so bad.
Were you like nervous for that, or did you were just like,
oh, I was terrified. I was terrified. The last time I danced was, I think, in 8th grade at a school dance.
Oh my God.
Like, because, well, that was the last time I sober danced.
There you go. That's good.
Weddings aside, that doesn't count. And mosh pits, they don't count.
I was gonna say, like, didn't we all, we had a couple drinks, a bunch of us, before the Domino Player Christmas party, and then Katy Perry fireworks came on, and we were all like.
I think I remember that night. Was that the night that you made that Bacardi lemonade? That was like your go-to. No, it was the 151 drink that you used to make. I have 3 memories left of that drink.
Oh God.
Out of 4 years, I have 3 memories. Because you never told anyone that you were sticking 151 in it, so everyone's just guzzling this like great pink lemonade drink. We're like, yeah, we're Gina, and then the next thing you know, you've got 6 people dancing on your coffee table, and you're going, y'all can't sleep here. You gotta go. I don't care if you sleep in my front yard, but you're not sleeping here.
I remember that. I'm like,
oh my God.
You could sleep on my porch. You're not sleeping in my apartment.
Like, and the one night with Up and Out when you made it, oh my God. And I did the naked mile where we just did the woods walk.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Good times. Good times.
I am a role model, folks.
He is right here. Let him teach your kids.
I actually teach kids.
I used to be a teaching artist and an outreach teaching artist at like Reading High and Reading Middle School. So
oh, that's rough.
Oh, it was hilarious because like I would wear like torn jeans and studded belts and show up with like a black button down and my hair like spiked out and necklaces, and they'd be like, whose child is yours? And I'd be like, no, I'm here to teach. And the teacher would be like, and then you'd have like 30, 40 kids that would be like, yo, Chris. And they were like, who's Chris? I was like, I'm Chris. They go, you don't make them call you by your, I was like, no. I'm like,
that's funny. Oh my God.
I was like, I'm about to ask them to reveal like their most inner 13-year-old thoughts. Why would I want them to call me Mr. O'Shea and create a power dynamic that doesn't help that? Like, get out of here.
Yeah, right? That's true. I'm sure you got a lot more respect than other teachers did there.
Role model.
Role model.
Oh God. Okay, so you had a dance for this audition. You were like, no way in hell, but you did it.
Oh, not once, not twice, not even 3 times. The choreographers asked me to be a part of it 4 times. And
oh my gosh.
Oh, by the 4th one, it was just man boob jiggles and just like just shooting my best shot. I was just shooting my best shot at that.
I can't. Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Oh my God. So you got through it. I mean.
Oh yeah.
That's good.
Oh yeah. I mean, and then we got to the part that I like, which is like, you go in and you do, you're at the table and you do your monologue, you do your song, and I'm like, oh, I can do that. Yeah.
You're like, this part's me.
Yeah. I'm like, this part. Yeah. We're here. Yeah. Good.
Oh my.
But like, I'm going to also like every audition I did from probably the time I was like, professionally at least, 22 until like 27 was just garbage. Yeah, they were just garbage. Like looking back now, like at 31 going on 32 and looking at those auditions, they were just bad.
Why do you think, what makes you think that?
A couple of things. I mean, a couple of things. I was in my own head a lot of the time. So I was putting a lot of pressure on myself to, be someone that I'm not, and to try and like mold myself into the image that the casting director would want.
Okay.
And life experience. And then also fear of the unknown almost. Like, um, yeah, just kind of going in there and like trusting that I solve their problem as opposed to they're solving my problem.
Right.
Um,
Mhm.
and so I think learning that and kind of just doing it over and over again and failing each and every time um, got me to the point that I could just like, okay, yeah, cool, I get it now, and like just try. And
Wow,
all they're looking for is for you to have thoughts in between your ears, and to make a choice. Um,
that's right.
that's all they want. Like, if they're bringing you in, you obviously have the natural skill set and the talent to do it, and the discipline. Now it's just step out of your own way and just do the thing that
Yeah.
you love to do, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, that's so great that you acknowledge that, and I'm sure you learned from it, and you can in future auditions, that going into it, and like you can go with like a clearer head and not so much pressure on yourself, and seeing that like you could be their saving grace.
Yeah, I mean, well, like, what's the problem? They're sitting there for 2, 3, 4 days, sometimes for 10 hours a day, listening to hundreds and thousands of people, and all they want is to solve the problem of I've got this character name and I've got a blank line next to it.
Hmm.
And they like if they can write in your name, great. Like and that's all they want. Like
Yeah,
it's as
Right.
simple as that. That's all they want. They want to
they
see you
want
succeed.
yeah, they want you to be the one. Because like
Yeah.
you said, they've been sitting there staring at people, listening, and they just want you to be the one.
Yeah. And normally, and that's the other thing that I think with auditions, folks get into their heads about. They think that everyone at the audition is better than them, and they're not. You're all good. Like that's how you made it this long. Y'all good. Like, so support each other and be good.
So true. Oh my god.
my
I
my
hate
my
auditioning.
Oh yeah, my favorite thing is like you walk into the room, or normally the hallway, or insert whatever sardine can they're trying to put 100 of you in,
Yep.
and everyone's like they're trying to out be themselves. It's like I walk in and I see like three guys that look like me, and I'm like, oh yeah, I've got a barrel chest. Look at my barrel chest. Yeah. Oh yeah. Look at my beard. Oh yeah. Like, and it's like, yeah, then calm down, buddy. Shake my hand, or don't listen to
Exactly.
music. Like, crack a joke, art,
Oh
do
my
something. Like,
Do you, like, go all out for auditions? Like, I've seen a few people, and I've heard mostly that you shouldn't do this, but I've seen people walk into auditions, like, let's say we're gonna audition for Cats the musical. They say, "Don't put on face paint and cat ears and a cat suit, like, just go in as yourself and sing. Just show us your singing voice. That's all we need."
you're never gonna see me dressed as a cat.
Well, I didn't think so.
um, I'm a firm believer that the production elements should be left in the production. And as an actor, my job in an audition is to show up, know my lines, know my songs, and make choices and show the thoughts I'm having. And that's it.
Amen.
Typically,
So you
I like to wear like jeans and maybe a pair of boots, and like a maybe something like this shirt, or a thermal or something like that, and like
Yeah,
just like have myself as put together and almost neutral as possible.
yeah,
Because I don't want to tell them what the character is going to be.
mm,
I want to showcase my process,
mhm,
and show that this is what I do.
mhm.
And if you give me 3 weeks with you and your team, I can find what you want, and you can see if that works with how I do the thing I do, and my abilities.
There you go.
Yeah,
I 100% agree. Totally. Because I know it's been like a back and forth thing. Well, they wanted, the Italian lobster. So I showed up looking like, I'm like, oh God.
oh god, that person needs to take a Xanax and probably have a Bahama Mama, and 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 in reality, I think that person needs to have a friend talk to them and just be like, listen, you have value and you're good enough.
There
And
you go.
you don't need to put up when I teach, I typically like to teach teenagers because I hate talking down to people. Um, and teenagers have a very interesting thought process, I find,
Mhm.
um, because they're old enough to have opinions,
Yes.
and not only have opinions, because 5-year-olds, 3-year-olds, infants all have opinions, um, but they're able to express their opinions, right?
Mhm.
Um, so like that sort of stuff, like the person that would show up with like cat's makeup and the wig and like Mr. Mistopheles, whatever his name is. I hate cats. Sorry, not sorry. Um, Out to the nines. I see that I call them putting on shields when I teach workshops and classes. Um, that like you're trying to distract from the thing that makes you unique and vulnerable.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of folks, yeah, and I agree. Like, listen, y'all. I'm a metal kid at heart, and I was Mr. Goth. I had like the Liberty spikes with the Elmer's glue, like out to here, and all the rings and
Oh my
Oh
necklaces.
my
god.
God.
Oh yeah. And I was in marching band and on the baseball team. I was.
Oh, that is such a mix.
Very mixed.
I didn't know what I wanted to be, so I was all of it. But that's cool. I think showcasing your individuality is great.
Mhm.
But there's also a time and place for it. And in the audition room, I think the thing that's attractive isn't the shields that you put up to showcase how unique you are. I want you to show me how unique you are. And that's in here, and that comes out of here, and is energy driven and all that. That's not. Um, I mean, if I could look at 13-year-old Chris and tell him to stop putting Elmer's glue in his hair, I'd tell him to do it.
Like, you funny.
Do you have a dream role that you've always wanted to play since you were little that you haven't done yet?
Not since I was little, but I've got like 3 or 4. Um,
Okay.
so the youngest role I can remember wanting to play is Jean Valjean, um, because in I was in French club and I was taking French back in elementary school through high school,
Mhm.
and um, Miss Hagee, yeah, Miss Hagee, the 10th grade French teacher took us on a class trip to the Force Theatre in Philadelphia to see Les Mis. Um, and I kind of done the musical in my freshman year, but I was like, I like stage crew because we get to be taboo and smack each other on the butt. um, and folks don't smack people on the butt without their consent. Um, but um, so I remember her taking us down there, and I grew up in um, Reading, Pennsylvania, which, as a lot of folks know, is a very poor city. Um, and I got to go and see Les Mis at the Force Theater in Philly for like $10.
Wow.
And it was probably the only way I was ever going to be able to afford to see a professional show of that quality. Um, and I remember going down and seeing it, and the second the stage started turning at the Forest, I was just like, I was with Javert's Suicide. I mean, I was hooked on the music itself,
Yeah.
um, but like seeing that, I was so
You're
like,
entranced.
oh yeah, I was there. I remember doing like the like it's a criticism, like when I'm in a room and I like do this and I get like super, like I'm almost like squatting in my seat just like watching what's going on. That was the first time I had ever done that. And I remember on the school bus back home from Philly at like 11:30 at night, which also, don't let 8th graders be on a school bus
At
at
11:30.
11:30 at night, because they're going to explore their sexuality, folks. Um,
Oh my god.
um,
Speaking the truth here.
uh, I remember coming back, and we were getting off the bus, and Miss Hagee asked me in French that I can't speak. I'm like Joey Tribbiani with the French anymore. But she asked me, and I responded. I was just like, "Oh, I really liked it. I'm gonna do that. That's gonna be my job." Um, and
Wow.
she just kind of laughed. She was like, "Oh," and the students that overheard it laughed and all that sort of whatnot. and so that Javert is one, but I would, or not Javert, Jean Valjean, but also Javert and the Bishop, and I mean, and any of those baritone roles, I would love to do. Tata in Ragtime, I would love to do. I actually, with the thing like with Corona going on, and this is my own personal, like the one that gets me sad. Like a lot of us in the business, we've all lost a lot of jobs with this. But the one that hurt was I was in final callbacks with like two other guys for Tata and Ragtime. And they pushed the casting back, and they pushed the final casting back, and they pushed it back, and they were waiting and waiting and waiting. And then maybe like a week ago, we got the email saying, sorry guys, we hope you'll audition next year if we decide to do it.
Oh no.
So I was like, no, I was so close to crossing a bucket list roll off.
Oh no, I truly hope they like eventually do it.
I'd love to do it. I'd love to do it. Oh man. And that's only become a recent passion to do it. Because the audition process was when I was out in California in February, March. That I knew of the show, but I was never like, I love this show. And then I kind of got into it because my roommate in California, he's phenomenal. Brian Michael Henry, check him out, everyone. He had been in Ragtime before and had kind of let me know about it and like what was going on with it. And then I started to listen to the cast recording and then reading the words score. Thank you. The score and the script, and just kind of fell in love with it. And then Sweeney Todd, that would be so much fun.
Oh, I
love that show.
Doing that role, you would be amazing.
Oh shit!
I could totally picture that.
I'd love to do it. I think it'd be so much fun. And then a Biff, I would love to play Biff.
Yeah.
I'm an actor who sings, not a singing actor.
Singer who acts.
Yeah. So I'd love to play Biff. Oh my god, I would. Now that like I finally look my age, I would kill to play Biff.
Yeah, speaking of looking our age, didn't you and I have a conversation a little while ago? Like, we're gonna be getting the dad roles and the mom roles.
I am so flipping. I don't know. Am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I am so fucking excited for gray hair. Oh my god. all
the possibilities.
My entire life has been being 6 foot tall and 200 to 280 pounds, and everyone going, your roles are coming, and I'm like, listen, my roles coming doesn't pay my bills. Like,
oh my god.
So like, I'm so excited to like finally be like, looking 31. Like, and even then, I'd still. A lot of casting directors go mid-20s, late 20s. I'm like,
That's funny. Do you have any pre-show rituals that you do?
Not really. I used to. I used to have like rituals and then in-show rituals and all that. And then I think I was like 25. 26, somewhere in there. I was working at this dinner theater, and a good friend of mine, Greta, who's the assistant stage manager there, we went out for coffee one day, and she pulled me aside, and she was just like, listen, Chris, I'm all here for like doing the ritual. Pardon me. Ooh. I made delicious roasted chicken earlier.
Me too.
I did like roasted okra over like rice and like lemon rice, and then like
no, we weren't that healthy. We had like stuffing and roasted potatoes and gravy.
You made us salivate.
Fuck you.
Sorry.
But where was that?
Pre-show
You're
ritual.
salivating over.
So she kind of pulled me aside and she noticed that I was doing this ritual, and it was just like a fist bump before I would go out and sing a specific song. Well, it was I was doing what was the show? It was this holiday show, like almost like a cabaret type thing. And the song that they had me singing was like what it was a mashup between O Come Emmanuel and something else that I forget. Because I didn't have stuffing, so now I'm distracted. I'm like stuffing. Anyway, I forget the other song, but the O Come Emmanuel part went one note higher than what I was comfortable with in my range, and I had to hold it for like I think it was like 22 counts,
Wow.
while like the women did something underneath it, and like I'm like way up there, and I would always do this fist bump, and there was a lot of other stuff going on within the company itself, that was pretty toxic, and she just kind of noticed that, and she was like, I don't want to like knock you doing a ritual, but also like I want to point out that sometimes rituals aren't the healthiest thing. And it kind of opened up this self-exploration of whether or not I wanted to be an actor with rituals. And for me, it works not having rituals.
Okay.
Because I feel like when I feel like I have to have a ritual, I'm probably trying to protect myself from something, which closes me off, which doesn't let me be open and vulnerable and tell the truth in the moment. So I try not to have them. So maybe maybe me not having a ritual is the closest thing to a ritual.
There you go. Doing your own thing.
Yeah.
New trend.
I do like to try and connect with each cast member and each crew member, or stage management, whoever's involved in making that night happen. I try to have a moment to connect with them pre-show, just kind of say hey, maybe bring them coffee or something like that, or Skittles. I don't know, just like a moment of like, hey, we're here. I see you. You see me. So maybe that's my ritual, I guess. Other than that, it's a lot of listening to music and cracking jokes and stretching sometimes. And
you mean you don't do contact before every show, or Raptor before every show?
No. I think that's great.
Or read a creed off of the green room wall.
Listen, I look back on that stuff super fondly.
Me too.
And I think it's great if you're trying to develop a culture. But the truth is, when you're a professional, the culture is being created for you by other people, especially as an actor when you're jobbed in. So it's not my job to come in and change their culture. It's my job to come in and be present, and hopefully, it's my job to come in, be present, bump the furniture when I'm told, find my fucking light, say my lines right, and don't ad-lib them and make them up as I go. Respect the text.
Yes, please.
And just be open to something not going as planned.
Live theater, folks.
Yeah. So outside of that, it's not my job to go around and cultivate your culture for you. I can just be myself and be present. And hopefully that attracts the folks around me to also be present, and want to be a part of that.
I love that. That's great.
I hope that makes sense.
Totally.
It does. Do you have a favorite play and or musical? I know, you got to think about this one. It's
a hard question.
It is. I couldn't name just one.
Mm-hmm.
And you only want one?
I mean,
you can name a few. We're not putting any limits.
Oh, side note, I also want to play Astrov. There you go. There's another character that I'd love to play.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not old enough yet, because traditionally, ever since the movie, he's been cast as like a 55-year-old. But in reality, y'all, in 1890s Russia, middle age would be 35, not 55, because they died at 50.
It's so true, though. Yeah.
God, that's the history major in me. I'm like, let's do this accurate, please.
Love it.
And also, like, I'm tired of seeing the same archetypes and stereotypes for how a character is supposed to look like. Unless it benefits the story for them looking and being X, Y, and Z, screw it. Let whoever is the best actor play the role.
Yeah.
And it gets back to the systemic issue of what predominantly is produced is white people shows.
Mm-hmm.
and white cis people shows.
Mm-hmm.
And that culture perpetuates itself, that we're not giving as equal of a foundation for people of color and non heteronormative folks and women to have their stories told, and have their characters become these legendary characters that we're talking about, right? Because yeah, I mean, for every Hamilton that happens, there's 20 reboots of Annie, and Annie sucks.
Well, we kind of discussed it a little bit in our last episode, when we were talking about hair and how, we still this day have this issue of, oh, this person in the play is a maid. Let's cast someone who's Black or Hispanic
as the maid or
as
this
the maid.
particular character.
We don't need, no.
Yeah,
I don't. It still happens. Like, it happened at a local community theater near me. Not going to name names, and they were looking for someone, and I said, I will absolutely not recommend any of my friends. Do not ask me.
Yeah, no. Listen, white folks, we need to do better. Period.
Yes, please.
Like, there's no
Agreed.
sugarcoating this. We need to do better because the folks that are listening, and predominantly the folks producing plays and musicals are white. And they're not listening to non-white folks, and they're not listening to non-straight folks because they don't know what they don't know. And the only way that they're going to listen, or that the thought stands a remote chance of even being heard, not listened to, just heard, is if other white folks point blank look them in the face and go, yo, this is screwed up and we need to do better. I'm not saying you suck. Some of you do. But like, we need to do better because our brothers and sisters who aren't like us are still suffering. Like, to say it's better now is like saying, yeah, well, I was stepping on your throat and now I'm not, but I'm still going to step on your chest or something like that. Like,
nope. Still happens today. Doesn't go away. No. And I said, can I see the script? Is there something specific that says it cannot be a white person? And sure enough, no, a white person could have played that part, but yet they specifically looked for a non-white person.
Well, yeah, I mean, we think that it's enough to say, I don't actively partake in racism. I don't actively partake in misogyny. I don't actively partake in prejudices. But the truth is, psychologically, we intrinsically learn them for survival tactics.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't look insane to me on a primal level, I'm afraid of you. And the only way to negate that is to actively speak truth to power.
Favorite play or musical?
Oh, fuck. We got to do this.
We do.
I don't know. I feel like, okay, so if we're going to say favorite, I think as an actor, I'm going to naturally be drawn to something I could see myself in.
Mm.
I think my favorite musical is Company. And I mean, I like me some Hamilton and I like me some In the Heights, which I don't think I'd be cast in for that. Maybe George, but that I don't think I'd be right for that.
It's hard.
Yeah, it is. I'm sitting there. I'm like, I don't know. I like things about this one. I don't like things about that. But what about this? Like, and I'm just
if there was a show that it was free, you could go back and see it as many times as you want, what would that show be? Like, without paying for tickets, if you could go back and see a show over and over again.
See, I'm weird. I'm the worst theater person. I don't like to re-see things. I want to
Oh,
be
you're
there.
not a repeat offender.
No, I'm not. I go and I'm like, I want to be here for this night and be like just in the moment with you.
Mhm.
And then let it be its thing.
Cool.
But what is one show that I feel like I could just watch over and over and over again? I mean, I love Company. I love Company. Especially what the hell is the man's name? The guy from the Scottish guy, where he did the convention where the actors also play the instruments. What the hell is his name? But the one that had Raul Esparza in it.
Okay, I saw that
That
one because of Jeff.
Yeah, that production of that I could watch over and over and over again.
Mm.
Because I think I think using the actors as the musicians and how they did that works really well, and it elevates the show.
Mhm.
I do love me Wizard of Oz.
Oh, yeah, it's a classic.
Um, plays. What plays could I watch over and over? See, the hard part is so many. This is gonna sound terrible. So many people miss so hard, which is awesome because they're taking big risks. Um, that I'm sitting there. Now I'm thinking like, okay, what could I read over and over again? I love. Oh, here. That's the way. There it is. It clicked. Okay,
Mhm.
took us a minute to get there. We got back to it.
It's all good.
I could read Streetcar over and over and over again.
Yes.
That is one of my favorites.
Yeah, I could read Laramie Project over and over and over again.
For sure.
I could read translations over and over again. I could read The Pillow Man over and over and over again. But I also think part of the reason I can read those over and over again is because I can connect to the story they're telling.
Mhm.
Because they're telling a story that me, as myself, as a white straight dude, knows and has been a part of. Um, so I also want to challenge myself to like kind of think of like stuff that maybe I can't see myself in, but maybe that's also the intrinsic value of theater.
Mm.
That the goal is to help the audience see themselves in what they're watching. Um, yeah, I guess that would be some of them. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm the absolute worst.
No, not at all.
It's all good.
It's all good.
When Albright did the Laramie Project, that is something I will never, ever forget to this day.
Oh
Like,
yeah, we had like what 3,500 people protesting the Westboro Baptist Church. Just
yes, we sure did because they were
silent.
threatening to come and, disrupt Matthew Shepard's mother who was coming to see the play and then come speak to us after. And if I'm remembering correctly, a ton of us got like rainbow umbrellas and stood lining up to the chapel and blocked the street view, which is where the horrible people were going to be, so that when Matthew Shepard's mother walked into the chapel to speak, she couldn't see them and they couldn't see her.
Yeah.
It was the most, oh God, that
I'm
experience.
pretty sure there were. I know the pagan biker gang was there also. That was who the bikers were that were there.
Oh,
That were protesting as well, which was absolutely crazy. And there
yes.
was a bunch of other members from the community, and then there was just like row after row after row. Albright has like 1,600, 1,700 students. And I tell you that out of 1,700, 1,699 were there.
Yeah.
Quiet,
Wow.
just absolute silence.
Silence.
Um,
Nobody spoke. All you heard was Matthew Shepard's mother walking and John Pankratz's camera clicking, taking
for
photos.
for an hour
Mhm.
easily.
Wow.
And then she walked into the chapel, and it was so full. The chapel sat like 700 people,
There
um,
was people standing.
rows deep outside of the chapel, around the chapel itself. They brought a PA system that played her speech outside so people could listen and see through the windows, and just row upon row upon row of people. Um,
Were you able to sit inside? I somehow so lucky I sat pretty close towards the
oh, yeah, I was back behind the altar,
nice.
like, so in like the sacristy area,
Okay.
um, because I was kind of helping behind the scenes a little bit.
Yeah, I was helping out a little bit with that production. It wasn't like anything official. I just like lent a helping hand whenever I could. So I think that's how I kind of got in to
Yeah, yeah.
hear her speak.
No, yeah, that makes sense because I wasn't involved with that one. I think that was the year before I changed my major actually.
Ah,
Um,
okay.
I think because was that also, yeah, that was our sophomore year, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, because freshman year was A Clockwork Orange, the adaptation that we did.
Mhm.
Um, and I remember seeing Dave in that. And then sophomore year was that. And that was just when I kind of started to get involved with the performing arts on campus. And I was primarily singing with like the a cappella groups and choirs and all that. And it was the postmodern European course with Julia
I was in that class.
that, and it was actually Brian Friel's translations. I remember doing my paper, my I think it was like the semester paper where we had that like 30-page paper for our final or something, and we had to analyze one of we had to that's what it was. It was analyze three of the postmodern works, and their similarities and commonalities, in theme work through postmodernism, and their differences. Uh, and that's where I read translations like hundreds of times, doing that. Oh, and Pentecost. I love that play.
There you go.
Oh, that play is so good. Like the different languages being used and the fact that it's like 30 people, like no one speaks the same language and they're trying to communicate to each other as they're like shelled up and huddled up in this church. Oh, like, but yeah. And that was actually Julia sat me down and she was just like, you should do this. Because I wasn't a major at that point. I was using it as I think it was my lit requirement for my humanities in gen eds or something like that. Like,
Wow. And look at you now.
no, look at me now. I'm on a back patio in Philadelphia, ma.
So right now we're all in this quarantine that seems like it's never going to end. But when it does end finally, what is next for you in terms of acting and your career?
Mm. Uh, um,
I'm getting all the good questions today.
It's the
yeah.
All the
$1,000,000
stumpers.
question.
To be totally honest, I don't got a damn clue.
Okay.
That's
Because
absolutely fine.
you can't. I don't know too many actors who do. Those that do are lucky and they're super established and they're there. I know in quarantine, I've been working with a bunch of groups on different live stream things and all that. And I've got a couple of agencies that were interested in meeting up when I got back from California that got postponed. So that'll probably it. Like, hopefully
Okay.
whenever Philly gets the green light to interact with each other again, um, that I'll be able to meet with those agencies. I guess that's the step. I don't know. I mean, also
Awesome.
probably going to the park and shaking someone's
There you go.
hand.
Same. Giving somebody a hug.
Yeah, yeah, like that's probably the first thing I'm probably gonna do after all this is over is I'm gonna grab a couple of my buddies who I haven't seen at all throughout all this, and my like ride or die friend. I'm gonna be like, yo, Lisa, let's go and like get a couple of us together and just go to a bar and sit outside and
Just enjoy it.
yeah, just be around each other.
That's good. Yeah, that's
with-
a good
with-
plan.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. I'll probably try to be a human first before being an actor.
And then after that,
Good
come back
plan.
to New York City and meet up with me and Greg, and we'll go back to that bar and have another fun night.
Oh my god, that's right. Oh my god.
That was
Oh my
good
God.
stuff.
That was such a weird fucking night.
Dude, when you texted me, cause okay, so Chris, I knew Chris was gonna be in the city, so we were texting like, let's meet up. All of a sudden, he's like, my friend Greg's coming. I'm like, okay, cool. And then all of a sudden, he's like, you're gonna now meet the Hammersteins. I was like, what is this? Is this real life?
Yeah, but okay, this is how much of a schmuck from Reading I am. She knew who the Hammersteins were before I put it together. I've known them. I've known Mandy for 2 years. I've done readings for her company in Bucks County. And Greg was like, oh yeah, the Hammersteins are coming. Will and Mandy. I was like, oh, cool. I haven't seen them in a minute. That'll be fun. And I texted Gina. I go, oh yeah, the Hammersteins are going to be there. And she goes, what? And I was like,
I'm
what?
like, you're joking? What are you talking about?
And I was just like, no.
Am I being
like,
punked?
I was just like, no, like Will and Mandy, like, you know, their producer, they produce like this little play reading thing in Bucks. They're going to be there. They're friends with Greg. They're cool people. I like being around them. And she goes, what? And I was like, I don't know why you're freaking out. Like, I don't know why you're freaking out. So we're at what the hell's the name of that bar? Sardi's?
Yeah, Sardi's.
And we're having drinks and all that. And Greg and I are shooting the shit. And this is like the third bar that Greg and I have been to. And
You guys were bar hopping. Like, you kept telling me your different locations as the day went on.
Gina comes up, and I was like, oh, Gina, this is Will. This is Maddie. They're cool people. Guys, this is my friend Gina from college. Greg, this is Gina, Greg. And we're like, oh, cool. And everyone except me and Gina got up to get drinks or go to the bathroom or something. And Will says this passing comment. And he goes, oh, I'm going to go see if my uncle's caricature is still here.
Yes.
And I go, oh, okay, cool. And I'm just sucking away on my bourbon, having a good time. And Gina and I start shooting shit. She goes, you didn't tell me they were those Hammersteins. I was like, what Hammersteins? She goes, I was like, oh, Will and Mandy are related to those?
Oh my God, a delayed reaction.
I'm not delayed by like 18 months. Like I've just know that's how much of a schmuck from Reading I am, but also two, that's how little priority I think that sort of stuff is on my radar. I'm like, cool, let's show up.
And they are just like the nicest people. Like, they like hugged me, welcomed me into the group as if like I had known them for years. They were wonderful.
Oh yeah, they're so awesome, and it was so much fun to just like, to just shit all over so many terrible production choices that had been made, and also to tell Will without realizing that some of his uncle's stuff was complete shit. That was hilarious.
Oops.
And then I was like, well, and he looked at me, he goes, so I don't know. I didn't like. What do I know? I'm like,
Then they hugged us goodbye, and then me and Greg walked to a surf bar, and then I had to leave you guys after a few tequilas, and then I had to go to my company dinner.
Oh yeah, I kept pushing my bus back.
Yeah, you did. You guys were like, skip the company dinner. I'm like, this, and listen, it's my first Christmas, like my first real Christmas party, and I went.
And last, little did you know.
And and I get there, and they're like, hey, how come you like didn't come to like the happy hour? You made it in time for dinner. I'm like, I was at the Hammersteins at Sardi's, and they're like, yeah, okay. I'm like, no, you guys for real. They're like, okay, try again. That was just some guy hitting on you at the bar. He totally lied to you. I'm like, no. Legit, I was with the Hammersteins at Sardi's.
Oh, that's my life. Like, and I'm just like this kid from Reading that stumbles into cool stuff. Like,
and that's amazing.
Or at least that's how I feel. Like, I don't know.
It happens.
I show up. That's what it is. I show up. Like
Dude, that is the key to everything. Carole King herself said, after like looking at her whole career and all of her success, that's how she says, like, she made it was she showed up. That's what you have to do, is you have to show up.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Can't win the lottery if you don't play it.
Yeah.
Got that right.
Well, and I'm also like a weird cat that like I got zero interest ever of people ever knowing who I am.
So you don't want people like asking for autographs and stuff?
No, oh God, no. I hate that. No. I don't. Okay, listen. I think I get the intention of it, but also like unless you're willing to do the same for the clerk at the supermarket, I don't. I'm just a guy doing my job.
Wow.
And it doesn't make me any better. It doesn't put me on a pedestal. I'm a guy that shows up and I do my job and I try to do it to the best of my ability. And I get that like some folks have that emotional connection to what we do, right? And that's awesome. I love that. But also like I have zero desire to ever. I want to. Here you go. I'm the guy that after a show I sit in the green room and I drink a beer for an hour. Like
Yeah.
I have no desire. Like I'll do the talkbacks. I absolutely hate audience lines. Like I hate them so much because I'm probably not very graceful by saying all that. But like,
It's all good.
it's not a lack of
speak however you want here.
It's not a lack of appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's just not a thing that I think is constructive to what we do. I think it just puts people on a pedestal.
I agree.
And I don't know if that's necessary to what we do.
I agree. And I will say, like, that kind of, for me, ties into talkbacks to a certain degree. I think talkbacks are important for certain shows. I don't need actors sitting up there telling me what their process is. If I'm sitting at the actor's studio, I'll listen to that. But I don't need to watch Annie and then have the cast come out and talk about, well, I sang and my mom taught me and then my sister. No, I don't need to hear that. Let's go see important theater pieces and discuss it and open up a dialogue.
Yeah. Well, and I say this like as obviously a very talkative human.
No.
Actors need to shut up and talk backs and let the audience talk. Like,
Thank you.
It's for them. It's not for you. You had your moment. That was the performing. That's why we bow at the end. It's thank you for being here. I acknowledge your existence. You acknowledge my existence. This was a great communal thing that we did. Now it's my turn to shut up. If we're going to have like a little like epilogue at the end of all this, where we're going to talk now and I'm going to drop the character and I'm just going to be me, I'm going to shut up because I just spent the last 3 hours talking. And now it's your turn.
We are not Meryl Streep and you are not James Lipton, okay? I don't want to hear it.
Then they only talk when it's appropriate for them to talk. Mm-hmm. And in a talk back, it's not. Let people ask their questions, be succinct, and move it forward so others can have their moment.
Thank you.
We already had ours.
Yes. And you know what? I think this weird time that we're all living in right now, hopefully, fingers crossed, is kind of showing people who's really like the superhero in today's society. It's the grocery store workers, it's the nurses, the doctors, the police, the firefighters, all of that. It's not the celebrities. And then also, kind of off topic, but sort of still on topic, a few years ago, there was like that kind of going off of autographs. A lot of like Broadway actors were getting death threats because they weren't coming to the stage door and giving autographs and taking photos. And the Broadway actors finally came out and said, we literally just busted our asses for 2.5 hours for you. We don't owe you shit now.
Hmm. Well, and that's the thing. It that sort of pedestal worship creates a toxic relationship.
Yes.
Um, and if you're someone that feeds into it and encourages it, I think you're you're helping people dehumanize each other.
Mhm.
Um, and the art form isn't about pedestal worship. The art form itself, in and of itself, is about telling stories, and in a way that, like, stories that are meaningful and worth coming together for. That and typically they're I mean, as fucking tried and true and overused as is, they're about the human condition and not individuality. So they have
Mhm.
all these universal themes of that's almost egalitarian. Um, get out of here with your star fucking mentality. If that's what you're focused on, then you're focused on the wrong thing. You're not there to be a part of a community and to have this communal cathartic experience. You're there for your chance to be the star then.
Yeah.
And that's just so
Right.
singular and uh, me focused and very self-centered that I don't think it has a place in theater. I really don't. I think if you're a me focused person and that you uh,
I
that,
know.
mm-mm, like
It's a
Mhm.
shame. You know what? Like, and I'm guilty of it growing up, going to see Broadway shows. It's like, oh, so and so's in this show. I'm going to go for them specifically. But then you find out, oh, this is so much more than what I expected. But then it's like,
Right.
let me wait at the stage door, get my playbill signed, get a picture if I can. But I don't do that anymore because of this movement. And I'm like, it opened my eyes to being like, they don't owe us anymore because they already did what we came to see them
yeah,
do. They're
they
not
did.
puppets.
Yeah, they did the contractually agreed upon thing. You
Yeah.
paid a
Right.
you paid a ticket to be in the audience to see people do the thing,
Yeah.
and then the ticket ends when the show ends,
Yeah.
and vice versa. And like the on the other end, the actors that encourage it, like, ooh, they actors that encourage that. I listen. I understand building a brand, and I understand all that sort of stuff that goes along with it. That there are those elements to this career because it
Mhm.
helps legitimize what we do and turn it into a career that is profitable and affordable for ourselves. I
Mhm.
get that,
Mhm.
but you also don't need to be the person that you're me focused in all of this. And in my experience, a lot of the folks that I've been so lucky to work with that have reached that tier are not me focused. It's the people that are trying to get to that tier that they're like, but I'm like, you listen, you need to calm down, like,
Yeah.
and
Right.
just like see people for who they are, like,
Yeah.
which is my name is Chris, and I'm showing up to say my lines, bump the furniture when I'm told, and find my fucking light always. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know,
Fightful.
yeah,
Find your
fightful.
fucking light.
I don't know. Maybe I'm too about that, but I don't know.
No, I think it's just, this new thing that people are finally seeing is not, we don't need to you're not like animals in a cage.
Yeah, well, and it also when you have, I think when you have the pedestal culture and you have this toxic relationship with your audience, it actually hurts what we do because shows are being remounted the same show over and over and over again because producers have a responsibility to their backers to make sure their money comes back.
Mhm.
Well, how else do you do that? You start to import X, Y, and Z famous person in a movie who's never been on a stage
Yeah.
or on a Netflix show and all that. And I'm not saying that they're bad performers and bad actors and all that. I'm
No.
saying it's a different medium that requires different skills. Um, and they don't always have that. They have the name, so they have that pedestal that you want, which is going to increase ticket sales. But there are people that have earned their right to be on the biggest stages or whatever size stage they're at, and have the chops to do this, that earn their stripes. And it's disheartening to see person after person after person who's earned their stripes and in doing it on the boards.
Busted their asses.
Yeah, because the theaters are so underwhelmingly funded that a lot of these folks, it's borderline poverty that we're working for. And you bring in someone who's cracked that, and it is the exception to the rule. And because of star culture and because of this toxic relationship in pedestal worship, you're overlooking someone who's put in the work, who is just as good, if not better, who is more skilled in the moment with a live audience, to be replaced with insert celebrity X. Which it's just unfortunate, I think. But
I agree.
And I can hear casting agents just crossing my name off of so many lists right now.
Their loss. But we can't thank you enough for being on our show. We had so much fun with you.
Thank you.
It was great.
I hope I wasn't on too many soapboxes.
No, it was wonderful. This is why we want to talk to people, to see people's different opinions and different, stories. So where can our followers look at your stuff at? Where should they follow you? Instagram, website? Where can they request an autograph?
I have all the social media stuff. I'm really bad on Twitter, so if you want really random tweets about random, I think the other day I compared 2020 to Ron Juice from the Jersey Shore. Oh yeah, did you see that they're making a Scream 5? 2020 needs to stop.
Oh no, the last Scream was like horrific.
There was never a good Scream. Come on.
No.
Listen, the 90s had a lot of problems, and Scream is right up there.
I like Scream.
Yeah, me too.
But not the third or fourth one.
Well, they're making a new one.
we've got radioactive fires in Chernobyl. There are forest fires that are radioactive in Chernobyl.
Yeah.
A global pandemic. Murder hornets that are the size of my thumb.
But let's make another Scream.
Oh, but that's right up there. These are we're about to get the 7 horsemen of the apocalypse or something going on here. Like in Scream is number 5. Because no pun intended with it being Scream 5. But the eviction crisis that's going to come up after the pandemic ends, because our current administration on a federal level is just a dumpster fire.
Agreed 100%.
And every single local official and state official that is supporting this and chumming the waters of this misinformation campaign is criminal, in my opinion. I just want to ask them, how many lives is enough lives? And how many people in your own family do you think is an acceptable amount to die when we're averaging 43,000 deaths a month off of this pandemic? But y'all got me heated up. You were trying to go. But it just, white people, we need to do better. And that's the crazy part. Philadelphia, with it being a predominantly not white city, it's one of the few in the country. I live in a predominantly not white neighborhood, in a predominantly black neighborhood. I don't know what it is with white people that we cannot grasp this idea of community. Like we have such an individualistic focus that it's like, I can't put my neighbor before me because I want to be able to get my hair cut or drink beers with my buddy on my boat.
Yeah.
What? You've got 43,000 people dying a month, and the 10th Amendment says that it is constitutional, that the stay-at-home orders are constitutional, and you all need to stop getting your constitutional law degrees on Facebook.
Yes. Oh my God.
Like, good God almighty.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Breathe.
Deep breathing.
I will
In and
say
out.
the one great thing that's going to come out of all this is during the Black Plague, so many great theatrical works that are still used now were written.
That's exactly,
There
yes.
are going to be so many great works that come out of this. And I really do hope
Absolutely.
that with this massive shutdown, as much as it hurts all of us in this industry in our pocketbooks,
Mhm.
and the momentum, because work begets work, that we can come out on the other side and look at how much didn't work, and not go, oh, I can't wait to get back to what was, but look at, like, well, maybe we should do it this way. Maybe we should, as an industry, be really evaluating ticket prices and affordability and access for poorer communities, which are predominantly not white, that we could be focusing on wage equality within the industry itself, that we can focus on a way to strengthen the union and non-union relationship, so you don't have theater companies and production companies going non-union because they know that they'll be able to pay non-union workers more than
Right.
they would if they went union. That there has to be a way to reconcile that, and dropping it down to 25 points to have more folks in the union is not the way to do it. 25 EMC points is not the way to strengthen the union, because all you are is creating more out of work workers.
That's exactly what it is doing.
The wage inequality between women and men in the industry would be like, there's a way to fix that.
Thank you. Oh my God.
And the representation on production teams, it's absolutely insane that in an industry that is supposed to be the most inclusive, and I do believe works really hard at being an inclusive industry,
Mhm.
has, what is it, 85% of production teams are all men,
And
and mostly white men.
yes,
Like, come
Yep.
on. This is a chance for all of us to stop, pause, and think, and breathe, because we're so underfunded, and we all are working 5, 6, 7 things at once, to stop and breathe and go, what we're doing ain't working. It ain't working, not even a little bit. It ain't. It just ain't.
yeah.
That we can come out on the other side with these m- more stories that are more representative of our society. That the American contribution to theater can be more than musicals and vaudeville, and that it can be something that is carefully crafted without spectacle. That it doesn't, and without the levers of oppression, um, that building up to the highest level of our platform, or of our art form. Like, there, white men, we need to do better. And like
We could talk about this like all day. This is like a whole day conversation.
Yes.
Sorry, I kind of went off for a minute there.
No, it's all good. We
All
like
good.
conversations like this. Dude, this was amazing. Thank you so much.
So much fun.
Yeah.
We will plug your website.
Oh, thanks. But yeah, if folks want to hear more ramblings like that, you can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. I do have a website. It's ChristopherDavidRoche.com. There's a bunch of average clips up there, and my resume. And also, you should check out some of the incredible work that is going on in the Philadelphia region right now as everyone shifts online. I worked on this amazing graphic novel that had its book tour canceled. So they hired a bunch of us actors to do a live reading of the graphic novel and play all the different characters with costumes. It's called Ithaca Comics. All you got to do is type it in. You'll find it. It's incredible. It's like this almost like Lovecraftian world that it's set in, but it doesn't deal with all the issues that Lovecraftian worlds have. But that's like the style.
That's
Um,
cool.
Ithaca Comics was great. Coffee and a Play is a virtual play reading group that I'm working with a bunch.
You sent
that-
me an invite to that.
yeah, they do free play readings throughout the entire quarantine, and all you can just be a part of a play, and they're free. All they ask is like, if you've got an extra couple of bucks and you feel like tipping, you can tip the actors. So they make like $5, $6 for 2 hours worth of work just to keep bringing theater forward. What's another one?
That's awesome.
New Light Theater down in Delaware does a monthly song that they bring in a bunch of us singers and actors where we all at our house record the tracks and then they put it together and they put it out. This month it's going to be You Will Be Found from Dear Evan Hansen.
Oh my God,
I
love that show.
Yeah, last month we did Into the Woods, oh my God, what's it called? Mother Cannot Find You.
Oh yeah.
What's
On
that
Your
song?
Own.
On Your Own, thank you.
Yeah.
And what did we do the month? I forget what we did the month before, but New Light, they're doing really cool stuff online. There's another Philadelphia-based play festival that's virtual with Maladjusted. It's a viral play fest that they do the same thing similar to Coffee and a Play. They put on a 10-minute play with a bunch of actors in their bedrooms or in their living rooms, and they just ask for tips. It's really cool way to keep supporting actors that are out of work.
That's great.
Because our government is failing to protect our industry, and it's more focused on giving $200 trillion to corporations through 2 stimulus packages.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dude, thank you.
We could go on for hours.
Oh yeah. I've got hours upon hours to just think about this stuff anymore and deal with the existential dread. So,
well, we're glad that you were able to come on and talk to us about it.
Oh, I'm so glad that you guys thought about me. This was a lot of fun. And y'all. It
was a ton of fun.
So much fun.
Kind of let me ramble for like the better part of an hour and a half. So
that was great. It was great. It's all good.
No, this was fun. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Don't tell me what to do.
We'll talk soon.
Yes, thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. So, guys, we know that at this point in the show, you're usually like, where's the golden hat with all the shows in it? But for the first time ever in AVFTM history, we are not picking a show from the hat. Because next week, we will be joined by Broadway's Phantom of the Opera actor and our friend from high school, Christopher Giorgetti. So, we just figured we're going to cover Phantom just to make it a all Phantom episode. Get ready, guys. Buckle up because he is incredible. We've known him forever.
It's
going to be an awesome show.
I am so excited. We've had the most amazing guests on. We love them all. And we're just so lucky. We truly, truly are. And we can't thank them enough.
It's going to be an awesome show, guys. There's just no words. We've had some awesome guests. We are so blessed. And it's going to be great. Don't miss it.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Chris. We really, really had so much fun with you.
Yes, it was so nice to meet you and hear about your love for theater and all of your insight. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to fuck you up. Guys, we so hope you enjoyed our Disney Beauty and the Beast episode. We're wearing our ears because we're both Disney fanatics, as you can probably tell.
Total Disney freaks.
Total. Can't wait for it to open back up.
Me too.
And be safe to go there. I don't mean just open up to open up.
Yes.
But we love you guys, and thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of A View from the Mez, the Chat with Broadway Babes. I'm Tracy.
And I'm Gina.
And tune in next week. We love you. Thank you. Thank you. Mwah.
Oh,